From the Millersville University Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kyle Elliott here with the medium range forecast and video discussion issued on Monday, August 5th. Well, the focus of this video is obviously going to be on what is currently Tropical Storm Debby located in northern Florida. Debby made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane early this morning in Florida's Big Bend region, and it's going to slowly creep northeastward across the southeastern United States, Carolinas, and mid-Atlantic states this week. Its slow forward motion is going to be responsible for, yes, feet of rain across parts of the southeastern U.S. and widespread and significant flooding. And some of that may even extend northward into the mid-Atlantic states, northern Maryland, southeastern PA, and the lower Susquehanna Valley late this week, and perhaps even extending into the first part of the weekend. So without further ado, let me jump right on into things here and start by taking a look at the GFS model for 2 p.m. on Thursday. Now, I'm kind of going to talk about the large-scale setup and why Debby's moving so slowly. Well, first, you actually have this cold front that's going to be diving southeastward across the midwestern United States by Thursday. There's also this large high-pressure system centered over or just to the south and west of the Canadian Maritimes. And so Debby's kind of trapped between these features. It really has nowhere to go. And so it's going to progress north and eastward very slowly. The European model shows this cold front being weaker, and Debby essentially just being trapped here between this cold front, this high pressure system, and another high pressure system over the central Atlantic. So again, there's really not much to steer Debby here. It's just caught between systems, and so it's going to slowly meander northward through the Carolinas on Thursday. And you can see, because of its slow forward motion, these areas are just going to get a ton of rain. I mean, you're talking a widespread 6 to 12 inches of rain in parts of the Carolinas, locally up to 1 to 2 feet in spots. So really just a catastrophic situation for the Carolinas. As far as our weather locally on Thursday, well, it doesn't look too bad. We're going to be trapped between all these features. That old frontal boundary that's going to stall near the Mason-Dixon line on Wednesday should still be nearby on Thursday, so it could be the focal point for some additional showers, but we should be north of that boundary in the lower Susquehanna Valley, so I don't really think the atmosphere is going to be very unstable, but there could be some passing showers around Thursday into Thursday night, and with those clouds and that easterly flow off the Atlantic around, well, you can kiss the heat and humidity goodbye late this week. In fact, temperatures will probably be in the 70s, not only on Wednesday and Thursday, but also on Friday as well. And as we move forward into Friday, the GFS and the European models really start to diverge on what happens with Debby. You can see that the GFS actually suggests that Debby crawls westward into parts of western South Carolina and Georgia, but you can see, because of the strong southerly flow out ahead of Debby and this cold front moving down from the north and west, that Debby's moisture kind of gets strung out and then drawn northward throughout the central Appalachians, even into the northeast and the mid-Atlantic states. The Euro paints a very different picture. That cold front is much weaker, it's much farther to the west, and so Debby just creeps northward through the Carolinas on Friday. The Canadian model is aligned with the European, and the ICON model is also more in favor of the European solution, so I don't really think that the GFS is right on this one. I think the other models are correct in that Debby itself just slowly crawls northward through the Carolinas still on Friday, and ultimately impacts our region with the heaviest rain later Friday into perhaps Saturday morning, because you can just see how different the GFS and the European models here are even by Friday afternoon. The GFS suggests Debby's unwinding across the southeast, but the Euro suggests it's still a pretty consolidated system, trudging slowly northward through North Carolina on Friday. By Saturday, those differences get even more amplified. The GFS suggests that all of Debby's moisture gets pulled northward along that frontal boundary, and we just get a colossal amount of rainfall, especially south and east of Interstate 81, a widespread 2 to 5, 3 to 6 inches of rain. But the Euro, again, paints a different solution. That frontal boundary is delayed, not as strong, and so Debby is also moving more slowly on the European model, and its moisture doesn't get sucked northward into that front, so that front sags southward over us by Saturday, and before Debby can quite reach the lower Susquehanna Valley, it gets shunted out to sea. I don't think that the Euro is 100% correct in this. The ICON model actually suggests that the Debby comes right up over the lower Susquehanna Valley, and unfortunately that's kind of the solution that I'm favoring right now, a compromise between the GFS and the European models, and that would be the ICON model, which takes Debby right up over the lower Susquehanna Valley. I think in the end that the center of the storm maybe tracks north and eastward right along the I-95 corridor, but that would still lead to a widespread 2 to 5, even 3 to 6 inches of rain across the region, and that would be enough to cause widespread flooding of streams, creeks, and some larger rivers as well. Now, as we move forward into Sunday, Debby, or what's left of it, will be racing out to the north and east into the western Atlantic and Canadian Maritimes. That frontal boundary is going to capture Debby at some point, whether or not it's later Friday and Saturday or later Friday night into Saturday, and ultimately cause it to accelerate out into the western Atlantic and the Canadian Maritimes later in the weekend. So in the wake of Debby, well, it's actually going to pull down some cooler air from Canada, that northerly flow, and it's going to be a beautiful end to the weekend. Saturday, still a wild card right now. I suspect that the first part of the day starts out cloudy and rainy, but those clouds may decrease later in the afternoon, and it could actually turn out to be a decent afternoon and evening, although we will probably be dealing with flooding concerns, not only on area streams and creeks, but also on roadways, low-lying, poor drainage areas. Again, the extent of the situation really depends on the track of Debby and how much rain we get, but just understand at this point that the threat exists for widespread stream, creek, and even perhaps some river flooding across much of the mid-Atlantic states, especially in areas east of I-81 and Route 11. I think those are the areas that are probably going to be hit the hardest, barring a significant westward shift in Debby's track. So later Saturday afternoon, it should turn out pretty nice. Highs around 80 degrees, and then Sunday looks to just be a beautiful day. Mostly sunny skies, northwesterly winds, low humidity, dew points back in the 50s, and high temperatures around or slightly above 80. So we are going to have a nice end of the weekend after this crazy weather that we're going to be dealing with over the next 4 to 5 days. So as we take a look at the Campus Weather Service medium range forecast, cloudy and cool on Thursday with passing showers, high 76. Mostly cloudy and humid with scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday, high 78. I suspect the heaviest rain from Debby then comes Friday night, and then by Saturday, we could see decreasing clouds or a mix of clouds and sun depending on the forward speed of Debby, with a chance of a shower or thunderstorm, especially in the morning, high 82. And then looking forward into Sunday, mostly sunny and rather pleasant with low humidity, highs in the low 80s. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Medium Range Forecast. Tune back in next Monday for the latest edition. Until then, follow at MU Weather on Twitter and the special weather discussion on the forecast page of the MU Weather Information Center website for updates on Debby and how much rain I expect late this week. Stay safe out there.